All right. Welcome back to the Gray Factor. I want to thank each and every one of you for locking in this morning. Today we got a good one for you. We got Black History Month. So I want each one of you to sit back, relax, enjoy the podcast, chime in at the end, and let's get to it. Welcome back to the Gray Factor podcast. I'm your host, Michael. And before I even start, I need to say this clearly now. This episode is not anti anyone. It's pro-truth. Black History Month is one of the times where people either lean all in or completely tune it out. Some people celebrate it. Some people resent it. Some people don't understand why it even exists. Some people feel like we should have moved past it by now. They say we should have moved past it by now. That is a hard one. Here's the thing. You don't move past history by pretending it didn't shape the present. This episode isn't about guilt. It's about context. Because if you don't understand the why, you'll never understand the now. And I want to say this up front to everyone who listens to this podcast and everyone who sit back and enjoy the podcast. Black history is American history. There's no ifs and buts about it. Not a side chapter, not a footnote. It's the foundation. February 2026 is exactly 100 years since Carter G. Woodson launched the first Negro History Week, which, as you all know today, is Black History Month. Carter G. Woodson believed in systematic brainwashing and the miseducation of the Negro in 1933, that African Americans were being miseducated. They were being trained into accepting an inferior status. He famously stated that if you control a man's thinking, you don't have to worry about his actions, as he will find his proper place at the back door without being told. Those are strong words, man. Those are strong words from someone way back in the day. Woodson was marginalized by the white philanthropic donors because he refused to let them edit or sanitize the Black history he was teaching, prioritizing historical truth over funding. As the foundation of the Association for Study of African American Life and History, Woodson insisted on documenting Black, African, and resistant history, opposing to Eurocentric paternalistic narratives that white funders preferred him to do. So that is being said, he did not fold, he did not bend, stay strong in his will and his way. And honestly, that is how things are supposed to be. Stay strong in what you truly believe in. Woodson was steadfast in his teaching, and Black History Month was born. So let's talk a little bit about slavery, because there's no Black history about slavery. Slavery is a touchy subject that a lot of people kind of steer away from, don't want to, have that argument. But slavery in America wasn't just about labor, it wasn't. It was designed to keep a race down. It wasn't random cruelty. This was a system built on economics, power, and dehumanization of the Black man. That is what slavery was. Africans weren't just enslaved. They were redefined and stripped of their names. They were stripped of their languages, family ties, spiritual systems, even time itself. And the part that rarely gets said out loud, America didn't accidentally benefit from slavery. America was built on the back of every slave. Cotton wasn't just a crop, it was currency. Slave Black bodies were just collateral. Banks insured them, churches justified it, laws protected it. All of that is a part of slavery. And even after slavery was ended, the mindset didn't disappear. You don't undo 250 years of conditioning with a piece of paper. Slavery taught America something dangerous. Black life could be exploited without consequence. That belief didn't vanish in 1965, it evolved. Now we enter a new world called Jim Crow. Jim Crow, slavery by another name. Jim Crow wasn't a mistake. It was a replacement system. When slavery ended, America panicked because an entire economy had been built on free labor. And now that labor was free, do as it pleased. The laws was written to criminalize black existence. Vagrancy laws, loitering laws, convict leasing. Black men were arrested for breathing wrong and leased right back to plantation, mines, and railroads, where they had just been freed from. Now, how do you think that made a lot of people back then feel? Lost, confused, frustrated, angry. Segregation wasn't about separation. It was about control. It was about control. You hear that? Separation, but equal, never equal. That was just the biggest lie at that time. I'm free, but I'm equal to the white man. But I can't be or do what the white man do. It was a psychological message. Know your place. And that message seeped into schools, neighborhoods, job opportunities, and self-worth. Jim Crow didn't just restrict movement, it restricted imagination. It killed the early growth of every black man, woman, and child. With all that setback, blacks of that time had to just deal with it. Lynching was a terror as a public policy. Lynching wasn't just random violence, it was domestic terrorism. It was public, it was advertised, it was even celebrated in the streets. Whites brought their kids, took photos, and even sold postcards. Let that sit for a second. They sold postcards to celebrate lynching. So that's a deep, deep, deep one to take. Black men, women, and children were murdered not for crime, but for accusation. They were lynched for being a success, for being confident, and for just existing outside of their area. The reason was simply fear. Fear that said, no matter how free you are, or how free you think you are, we can still end you. And what does that do to a people over generations? It teaches silence, caution. It teaches survival over ambition. That trauma never disappeared, even with time. All that being said, the destruction of the black family was next to follow. Slavery separated families as a business practice. Children sold away, wives raped, fathers killed or removed from their families. Then Jim Crow continued. Disruption, mass incarceration picked up where it left off. The black family didn't just fall apart, it was attacked by the system created by the white man. Policies punished the black fathers. Welfare systems incentivized two-parent households. Even if you had a two-parent household, you was not eligible for any government assistance. Any. Not only that, but drug laws targeted the black neighborhoods. And yet, despite all of this, black families still survive. Not perfectly, but recently. People say black families are falling apart. But that's not the truth. They were actually fighting hard against a system that was trying to break them. Black History Month exists as a response to the long-standing exclusion of Black history from mainstream narratives and educational curricula. Me, Black History Month is really important because the history of Black people was often left out of purpose for a long, long time. Instead of being fully taught, stories about them were just a tiny part of what schools talked about, like a little footnote. Things like slavery or the civil rights movement were sometimes mentioned only as if they were just side note to what America was going through. People thought that racism was no longer a problem. That isn't true. Black History Month helps everyone remember that we can't celebrate freedom and equality without knowing the complete story of all people. It's not about making anyone different or separate. It's about making things right and recognize everyone's contributions to our history. That being said, some people, including some Black people, think we shouldn't need a special month for Black history. That may be true. They believe that the stories and important contribution of Black people should be part of our regular history lessons all year round. That is also true. I believe that our history formed America. I believe our history was a major part, not just a side note for what America is. With all the contributions that the Black man have given, I think that is a great thing. On the other hand, some people who aren't Black feel that having a separate month makes it seem like there is a division between different races. They worry that it creates separation instead of bringing everyone together. You know what? There's some truth to that too. Ultimate hope for Black History Month is that one day we won't need it at all because everyone will already know and celebrate Black history every month and all the time. Right now, just like when you're healing from a broken bone, can't rush the process. You wouldn't take off a cast until your bone is completely healed, right? Think about that. Can't just stop talking about it because there's still a lot of work to do make things fair and equal for everyone. Uncomfortable feelings that people might have when discussing these hard topics don't mean that the month isn't working. Instead, those feelings show that doing its job, helping us understand and talk about important things that needs to change in our society. So Black History Month is really about learning from the past and recognizing the struggles of Black people working towards a future where everyone is celebrated, treated equally. That's why it's so important to keep talking about it. Black History Month is a time to celebrate the heroes, change the world. But we also look at what still needs to work. Racism hasn't disappeared. It looks different than it did in the 1960s. Back then, there were unfair laws and size water fountains. Today, it can be hidden how things work. For example, today, for every $100 a typical white family has in wealth, a typical Black family has about 15. This gap started a long time ago because of unfair rules about where people could live and work. Things are improving. Only about 9% of doctors in the U.S. are Black, even though Black people make up over 14% of the population. The history isn't just a list of problems, it's a story of resilience. Black Americans aren't just getting by, they are leading the charge. From the technology in cell phones to music on the radio, that creators are changing the world every day. More Black leaders are running businesses and cities than ever before. Future isn't about pretending the past never happened, about being like a detective, learning from history so we don't repeat the same mistakes. True progress means more than just being nice. It means making sure the rules of the game are fair for everyone. This month, let's celebrate the amazing wins of the past and promise to help each other build a future where everyone gets a fair shot. I'm going to leave you with this question. We view Black History Month not as a look back at a finished story, but as a mirror for our world today. What current reality do you think our ancestors will be most surprised we are still navigating? And which of those tools should we use to fix it? Till next time, think long, think often, and deep. Happy Black History Month. Take care.